Sometimes you hear, what is God calling you to do? How to be more like Him and lead people to Him, and your mind automatically goes to ministry.
Right.
But you can be a follower of Christ and be called to lead others to Christ in something different.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I would love for you to introduce yourself, say your name, like where you're from maybe, and then what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were like a little kid.
My name's Kaden. I'm from Tulsa, and when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an anesthesiologist.
My name's Maddie. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I wanted to be a teacher.
My name's Quentin. I'm from Edmond, and when I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I'm Caitlin, and when I was little, the first thing I can remember wanting to be when I grew up was a professional bike rider, because I loved riding my bike so much. Are any of you actually doing that with your life now?
No.
Absolutely.
Like, not even close. No. Well, what are you doing now?
I'm actually a student athlete right now, so I'm going into my sophomore year of college, and I run track and cross country on the team.
I'm the host team pastor at Life.Church Norman, so I've been doing that for 3 years now.
I get to work in learning and development, which is just a fancy kind of word for getting to teach people different culture things and different practical things for the church.
So all of you guys kind of grew up going to Switch, probably hearing about like God's calling on your life, like His purpose, His plans for you. When you were in Switch, what did you think that meant, and how did you start to process what God might be calling you to do?
I did not know what God was calling me to do. So I always heard that, and honestly, it was a little overwhelming because a lot of people kind of had their life, what it seemed like already planned out. But I was like, I could not tell you what I'm doing tomorrow. And so I think just having that in my head all the time was the part, it was kind of just taking away from all that God was doing in my life. And I found that whenever I actually slowed down, I could discern the voice of God more and what He was calling me to when I actually did slow down to listen.
When I think about calling, I think like how we're all called to love God and love people.
Right.
And then like occupationally, I was like, and it was not until like my senior year that I actually figured out what I wanted to do practically.
Yeah.
I did an internship, and I just really felt God calling me to ministry.
Yeah.
And so it's through doing that internship that I discovered, okay, maybe I am called to ministry. And so sometimes I think we can kind of get confused of like, okay, I follow Jesus, I'm called to like be a pastor or something. But even for me now, like that's not what I'm called to. I'm called to learning and development and teaching other people, not necessarily being a pastor, but I still get to love God and love others.
Sometimes you hear, what is God calling you to do? How to be more like Him and lead people to Him, and your mind automatically goes to ministry.
Right.
But you can be a follower of Christ and be called to lead others to Christ in something different.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I'm not called to be a pastor or work at a church, but right now I'm called to be a light on my team at my school and lead my teammates to Christ and show what His love looks like to others. And so that's just what I'm doing right now.
I would love to hear all of you guys kind of unpack a little bit, maybe the first time you sensed God asking you to do something.
So my volleyball senior night, I just remember everyone, they were announcing from the microphone, like, okay, what's your name? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be studying in college? Just assuming everyone was going to college. I was not going to college. And so I was freaking out, and I just said, I feel like I just need to say that I'm going in ministry. I didn't know necessarily what that meant, but I knew that wherever I go, I'm going to be taking the Lord with me and trying to tell more people about Jesus wherever I go. Yeah. And so I felt that night, I was like, okay, I need to be bold. I feel like I'll probably get some looks, honestly, but it's like, okay, guys, this is Maddie, and she's going into ministry. And then that was it. And everyone was like, okay. So I think just like being bold in that way, knowing that it might not look like working for a church, right? But we all are called to ministry because we're all called to love God and to love people. Yeah. And so that's what I knew for a fact that night.
When I think about when God's like prompting me to do something, it's almost like, I don't know, sometimes for me it's like, oh, was that God or was it not? But then there's always like a follow-up of like, I think He gives you like a second chance of like, hey, I asked you to do this. And so just being like aware, like the Holy Spirit always is talking to us. And then we have people around us that maybe sometimes confirm those things. And so always just stepping out in obedience, I think God will kind of, he gives you the chance and it's like, okay, you should really do this. And it's like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. And so just being aware of those, because sometimes like you can go, it could be something super small or super quick. And you're like, you're not even present enough to realize that, oh, God's trying to talk to me to do something, instead of this is just what everybody else does. So I'm going to go and do this. But I think God, it's not always like super loud like people think. Like sometimes like you could literally be walking to go get a drink and it's like God is like, hey, go pray for that person or go invite that person to church. And so just being present and aware that like God's always trying to talk to us.
One thing I think about is like God will never prompt you to do something that's not right. So if you have a certain prompting to go pray for someone, like, or go give someone money or just do something that's kind, you know, there's a good chance it could be from God, because he's never going to have you do something that's not.
So when you're applying that to kind of like figuring out or starting to take steps towards what God has for you to do with your life, I think of you, Quentin, because you started off doing one thing and now you're doing something different. So like, how did you figure out like, oh, this maybe was the thing for this season, but now this is the thing? Like, when God changes the plan, how do you go with it?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I was a youth pastor for like 4.5 years, and then was approached for a different role within the church. And I was like, I loved being a youth pastor. I wasn't looking to leave. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. And then God came knocking on the door with a different plan. And so really my thought process throughout the whole process was, I just want to be most effective where God's called me. Right. Like if that's being a youth pastor at my church, then great. If that's doing learning and development in a different state, in a different city, on a completely different team, then I want to do it.
I played volleyball for a very long time, thought I was going to go to school, toured schools, you know, met people, met the coaches, that kind of a thing. And it's what I wanted to do because it's what everyone else was doing around me. And so I just remember like the feeling of visiting the schools and then the worst feeling, leaving the school. I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. I never want to go back. And it took people in my life to kind of call out the things that they saw in me. And that's who I remember to this day. Cindy, she is my mentor now. And she called out the things while I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. Everyone seems like they know what to do. But here I am, a senior, and I graduated, and I'm the person who stayed home. And she was just like, Maddie, like, I see this in you. I see this. She called out those gifts in me, but kind of like what you were saying, like I had to be willing to bring people in and just say like, here's where I'm at. I don't know what to do, but I trust in God. I need you to like call out these things that you see because I don't see it in myself. And so whenever she did that, I did the summer internship at Life Church, and it's not what I had planned. But then through the summer internship, I actually interviewed for the full-time, got that. And then now where I am today, I get to be in Norman leading a team. When you're walking in the will of God, everything just seems so right because you know that's what he called you to, and you're not doing something that the world tells you to do. So
I almost think of Proverbs 3:5, which just talks about like trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding in all of your ways. Like in everything that you do, acknowledge him, and he's going to make your path straight.
So good.
Like two things that I've heard all of you guys mention that I think are just cool when it comes to like discovering our calling is that one, you have people like encouraging you and calling things out of you. And then thing number two, which I just love this, all of you guys have mentioned that what you are doing, like walking in God's calling, brings you a lot of joy. Like it's actually fun for you. And I think that that's just really beautiful because God's just kind to us, and he's not gonna like, his purpose for you is not gonna make you miserable. Like it's literally like how you were wired, and what makes you most alive is walking in the calling that he has for you. So I just love that all of you guys mentioned that. The last thing that I would say or ask you guys is if you were giving advice to yourself as a switch student when it comes to hearing from God and pursuing your purpose and discovering your calling, like what would you say to the younger version of you?
I would probably say don't be afraid to get involved. It's very easy, especially now, to kind of be distant, be quiet, be alone, stay to yourself and very guarded. But I find when I'm closest to God is when I open up to others, when I'm involved with student ministries, church ministries, going to Bible studies, doing life groups. That's when I find myself most connected to others and to the Lord. So I definitely tell myself, get involved with people who care about you and who love God as well.
I would say the world is going to call you to a lot of things that you think are correct and that you think that you need to do because everyone else is doing it. But discerning the voice of God, praying, asking him, God, what is it that you want from me? And what is it that's going to bring you glory? Because that's what we're all doing, something so different, but we're all just trying to bring God glory. And so I would just I would tell you to ask God, what is it that you want to do through me? Not what the world wants me to do, but what you want me to do. And trust that he's going to give you that answer when he feels like the time's right.
That's so good. Kayla, I would say for the question on like just hearing from God, that I would tell my future self and I would tell everyone that you have to let go of the excuse of being busy. I think it's so easy to be busy with school or work or with family or with sports and stuff and allow that to kind of crowd out the voice of God and not have the space and the time to hear from him. So I would say to let go of the excuse of busy and actually make time to hear from God. Like, what does your time in his word look like? Because you can hear from him in his word. What does your time in prayer look like? Or at church or with other people? So don't let busy be an excuse to not allow time for God to be able to just sit in his presence, to read his word, and to actually create a space and a time to hear from him.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I loved every minute of it, and I am just like, I love that we all get to sit up here and talk about the different and unique and special ways that we were created to bring glory to God. So for you guys, if you enjoyed this content and this conversation, you got to check out the rest of our playlist, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right here on Switch Youth. I'll see you there.